What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Bluebird Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Shawn Porter, responds and updates us on what's going on between himself and undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight, undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. With that said, obviously Bob Arum has done a few interviews, one in which he was on Barbershop Conversations, and he stated that he would not be willing to offer Shawn Porter no more than $1 million flat. He says that they could work out some sort of, incentives on the back end, but he's not going to guarantee anything more than $1 million. Well, Shawn Porter, he went in on Bob Arum, and Bob Arum stated that Shawn Porter, his response wasn't merit because he says back in his days he's a old school guy. So he says back in my days $1 million was a lot of money. So Shawn Porter responds. He says you offer. He's in similar fashion of former unified WBC WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman stated that you pay for what you get, right? So we know Terence Crawford, they offered initially $1.5 million to former IBF welterweight world champion British superstar boxer Special K Kell Brook. And eventually it was bumped up to $2 million. So with that said, Kell Brook got stopped in the fight. Kell Brook hasn't made the welterweight limit of 147 since 2017. Kell Brook was stopped 2 times in his career. Kell Brook definitely wasn't the same guy. So Keith Thurman, after the fight with Terence Crawford and Kell Brook, in which Terence Crawford stopped Kell Brook in the 4th round, uh, Keith Thurman stated that, well, you get what you pay for, meaning that you didn't want to pay big money for the high profile fight, so this is what you got. And Shawn Porter alluded to the same thing. He stated that they knew what they was getting in Kell Brook. That's why they offered Kell Brook $2 million, 1.5 initially to start with. They knew what the caliber of fighter that they're getting in Kell Brook. Kell Brook is not the same guy anymore whatsoever. And so, that's what you pay for. What you pay for is what you get. So you didn't get a high profile fight. And Shawn Porter stated, well, at the end of the day, you can't knock Terence Crawford because he's beating the competition in front of him, but it's just not high profile competition. Now we know that Shawn Porter is now Terence Crawford WBO mandatory #1 challenger, and Shawn Porter wanted to go the route of just negotiating, in which Bob Arum, top ranked CEO, legendary promoter of Terence Crawford, he stated that he would allow Al Heyman to go to a purse bid with them because he's the mandatory, and then he would allow Al Heyman essentially to win the purse bid, and Al Heyman would be accountable for the purses for these fights. So it's abundantly clear that Bob Arum doesn't believe in Shawn Porter's worth, obviously, and he clearly doesn't believe in his own fighter's worth in Terence Crawford. So Shawn Porter is stating that, this is the quality opponents you're going to get for Terence Crawford because they don't want to pay. But let's just listen to what Shawn Porter had to say regarding this situation.
For him to say that he doesn't, he's old fashioned. He doesn't think that $1 million is not chump change. It's not chump change to somebody else, but to Shawn Porter, it's chump change. So here's the thing: you offer Kell Brook, $2 million because you knew that $2 million will get Kell Brook in the ring.
So you see what he's saying? He's saying that you knew what you was paying. You knew what you was getting, and which the amount that you was paying for.
That Kell Brook had not been in the ring in some time, and that $2 million was enough for him. It's not enough for Shawn Porter. However, the only way you can stay away from Shawn Porter and try to justify it is by saying $1 million is not chump change. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah.
So you see, Shawn Porter is stating that the way you could avoid fighting Shawn Porter, is by lowballing him. Essentially, is what he's saying. Is that you offer Shawn Porter that amount of money, you know my worth is higher than that of Kell Brook. And so if you offer me that amount of money, essentially you're working your way in avoiding me. But I don't know how long that's going to last. As Shawn Porter stated that he contacted his father, trainer, and manager, who was a close relationship, Kenny Porter, who has a close relationship with Al Heyman, PBC founder and advisor, and he stated that he wants them to get the ball rolling on pursuing the mandatory paperwork, the paperwork to be the mandatory challenger, which is not going to allow Terence Crawford, who is the champion, it's not going to allow him to fight anybody other than Shawn Porter, and it's going to go essentially to a purse bid. But let's listen to what Shawn Porter had to say once more.
For Shawn Porter. However, you know the only way you can stay away from Shawn Porter and try to justify it is by saying $1 million is not chump change. I'm paraphrasing.
So you see, he said that the only way you could stay away from Shawn Porter is saying that we offering him $1 million. So essentially what he's saying is they're making an offer for the sake of making an offer and being able to make a case that, well, we made an offer and he's not willing to accept it. So he's saying that this is the only way you can justify staying away from me. But essentially, overall, he's saying that Terence Crawford needs to, essentially put his best foot forward for him to have these high-profile fights, or he's going to have to wait until he's a free agent in October of this year. But we're in the beginning. We're in January of 2021. Okay, we're in the first marking period of 2021, first quarter of 2021. So he's not a free agent and don't get away from Top Rank until the third quarter of 2021. Okay, going into the fourth quarter of 2021. So essentially, what he's saying is that Terence Crawford needs to put his best foot forward. Terence Crawford needs to, assert himself because Terence Crawford at this point in time is 33 years of age. Okay, Terence Crawford will be going on 34 years of age, and he's yet to secure a high-profile, high-quality, high payday fight. He hasn't done it, and he's admitting of that when he did a ESPN special, Relentless, with Andre Ward. He stated that I've yet to secure a high-profile, high quality, high payday, lucrative fight in my career. That's what I'm chasing at this point in time. And until he, holds Bob Arum accountable, as Terence Crawford stated that it's not Bob Arum's fault. He stated that Bob Arum wants to make all these big fights. Essentially, they don't want to make the fights. Well, making a flat fee offer to Shawn Porter and to make $1 million and to Keith Thurman of $1 million is just not going to get it done at this level of fighting, point blank and period. Thus the reason why Terence Crawford has yet to secure a high profile, high lucrative money fight. It's just that simple. Let's listen to what Shawn Porter had to say. Once again, he's making it clear as day. You pay for what you get. So you got Kell Brook. Kell Brook looked good for the first couple of rounds, right? He put up some resistance. He actually won the first couple of rounds, but you can clearly see that Kell Brook had no punch resistance. He was stopped back-to-back fights by Gennady Triple G Golovkin, then by Errol Spence Jr. When he lost his title, he cited the reason why he lost to Errol Spence was because he struggled to make the 147-pound weight limit. He needed to go up to 154. He then challenged Errol Spence to come up to 154. He said that it would be an even fight at that point in time, and he can guarantee that he'll be the victor if Errol Spence was to come up to 154. This was back in 2017. Kell Brook hadn't had a high-profile fight since getting stopped by Errol Spence in 2017. Now we're talking about nearly 2021, the end of 2020, in December of 2020. Now Kell Brook decides that he's going to go back down to 147 after nearly a 4-year layoff from being at 147. Hadn't had a high-profile fight, hadn't had a big lucrative fight, didn't have his manager or his trainer or his promoter with him. He was solely on his own, and essentially Terence Crawford stopped him. So you pay for, you get what you pay for, essentially. So let's listen to what he had to say. But he's saying that essentially Terence Crawford is allowing Bob Arum to be able to maneuver around these big fights.
It's not chump change to somebody else, but to Shawn Porter, it's chump change. So here's the thing: you offer Kell Brook, $2 million because you knew that $2 million will get Kell Brook in the ring. You knew that Kell Brook had not been in the ring in some time, and that.
So you see, he's saying that he even laughed. He giggled. He said, "You offer that money to Kell Brook," and Kell Brook took it. Why? Because Kell Brook wasn't in a position to turn that type of money down. Kell Brook is not a high-profile fighter anymore. He's not relevant anymore. He hadn't been in the ring in quite some time. He hadn't been made the welterweight limit. He's looking for a big cash-out fight. So that's why Kell Brook decided to take it. This is not the case when you're dealing with Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter was in a Fight of the Year fight when he took on undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol True Spence Jr., in which Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford is cited as the biggest fight in the sport of boxing currently right now. And most people had it. Shawn Porter was up going into that 11th round. The 11th round knockdown on the part of Errol Spence, dropping Shawn Porter, seemed to be the difference in the fight. And then I thought, in my opinion, that Errol Spence clearly won the 12th round. That was the difference in the fight. So Shawn Porter is definitely still very, very relevant, opposed to Kell Brook. Kell Brook was seen as being far past his prime. He hadn't had a big fight since getting stopped by Errol Spence, like I stated, in 2017. So and he had a big fight in 2016. 2017 was the big fight in 2016 was Gennady Golovkin. The big fight in 2017 was Errol Spence, and Kell Brook hasn't been relevant since then. So you get what you pay for.
$2 million was enough for him. It's not enough for Shawn Porter. However, the only way you can stay away from Shawn Porter and try to justify it is by saying $1 million is not chump change. I'm paraphrasing, but for you to say $1 million isn't chump change, or is a lot more money than most people would consider, or whatever. However he worded it, not for me, and you know that, and the only reason why you would offer me, if you are willing to offer me only $1 million, is because you really don't want Terence Crawford to have that fight, and you know that I'm gonna say no, and you're gonna tell people, well, $1 million is a whole lot of money. He's got a couple of losses, and
see, so there you have it. He stated, so that's the only way that you could keep essentially Terence Crawford from fighting me. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Bud Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Bud Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.